a queen who ruled a kingdom of gold, who worshipped the sun instead of the one true God, and who was tested by a prophet in ways that broke down her entire worldview in a single afternoon. This is the real story of Bilqis, the Queen of Sheba and Prophet Sulaiman, and by the end of this video you will understand why this encounter is considered one of the most fascinating diplomatic exchanges in all of prophetic history. Stay with me, because the final test she faced is the part almost nobody explains correctly. Before we continue, tap subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel breaks down the real, source stories of the prophets, no exaggeration, just the truth. Let's get into it. Who was the Queen of Sheba? Bilqis ruled over Sheba, a wealthy and advanced kingdom generally placed in the region of modern-day Yemen, though some historical accounts also link Sheba to parts of the Horn of Africa. Her people were skilled traders, her land was rich in gold and resources, and she sat on a throne so magnificent it is described in detail in the Quran itself. She was not a weak or passive ruler. She was intelligent, cautious, and respected by her advisors. The problem with her kingdom: despite her wisdom and governance, Bilqis and her people worshipped the sun rather than the one true creator. This detail matters because it sets up the entire encounter that follows. Sulaiman was not seeking her wealth or her land. He was concerned with correcting a fundamental error in belief, which tells you what kind of king and what kind of prophet he actually was. How Sulaiman learned of her, as covered in our previous video. It was a hoopoe bird that first brought word of Sheba back to Sulaiman during a military inspection. The bird described a nation of immense wealth ruled by a woman, and a form of worship that troubled it deeply. Sulaiman did not dismiss this report from a bird. He treated it seriously enough to act on immediately. The letter and its tone. Sulaiman wrote Bilqis a letter, and the wording matters. It began in the name of God, was direct, and called her to submit to the truth, not through threats of destruction, but through an invitation. When Bilqis read it aloud to her council, she noted its dignity, describing it as a noble letter, not a hostile one. This detail is often skipped, but it shows Sulaiman's approach was based on clarity and respect, not intimidation. Her council wanted war. When Bilqis presented the letter, several of her advisors pushed for military resistance. They had the strength and the confidence to fight. But Bilqis made a striking observation to her council, that when kings invade a land, they ruin it and humiliate its people, and she refused to let pride push her nation into unnecessary destruction. This single decision reveals a ruler who valued her people's well-being over her own ego. The test of gifts. Instead of choosing war, Bilqis sent an enormous gift of wealth to Sulaiman, testing whether he was a man motivated by material gain. It was a smart, calculated move. If he accepted the gifts and asked for more, she would know his mission was political. If he rejected them, she would know his mission was something else entirely. Sulaiman rejects the wealth. Sulaiman refused the gifts outright, telling her messengers that what he had been given by his creator was greater than anything material wealth could offer, and that if she did not come to him and submit to the truth willingly, he would bring forces she could not resist. This response told Bilqis everything. This was not a king seeking riches. This was a prophet seeking truth. The journey to Sulaiman. Bilqis made the decision to travel to Sulaiman's kingdom herself, a bold and unusual move for a monarch of her era. Before she arrived, Sulaiman asked his court who could bring her throne to him first, and it was transported instantly through means beyond ordinary human ability, a test designed to show her the reality of what she was dealing with before she even had a conversation with him. Recognizing her own throne. When Bilqis arrived and was shown her own throne, altered just enough to make identification difficult, she gave a careful and intelligent answer, saying only that it resembled her throne, not confirming or denying outright. This detail shows a queen unwilling to be caught off guard, thoughtful even while facing something impossible to explain. The Crystal Palace moment. The final test came when Sulaiman had a hall built with floor polished glass, so clear it resembled flowing water. When Bilqis approached, she lifted the hem of her robe, expecting to step into a pool, before realizing the floor beneath her feet was solid glass the entire time. In that single moment, every assumption she had was proven wrong. Her final decision. It was at this exact moment that Bilqis declared her submission, stating clearly that she had wronged herself and now submitted, alongside Sulaiman, to the Lord of all the worlds. This was not forced conversion through fear or war. It was a decision reached through evidence, patience, and respect, exactly the approach Sulaiman had taken with her from the very first letter. Why this story still matters in 2026. This encounter is often reduced to a simple magic trick story, but the real lesson is about how truth should be delivered with dignity, patience, and evidence, not force. Bilqis was never humiliated. She was persuaded. And in an age full of division and forced narratives, that distinction still matters today. If this gave you a deeper understanding of Bilqis and Sulaiman's story, let me know in the comments which part stood out to you most. Subscribe for more honest, source breakdowns of the Prophet's stories. See you in the next video.